morning, Social Studies. This is Miss Martin with Week 3 information for the Social Studies. This week we are going to be moving on from nationalism in India, and we are going to be moving towards information about communism and Japan. So these standards are, we are still under Analyze the Continuity and Change in Southern and Eastern Asia. Learning Target C is I can explain the role of the United States in the rebuilding of Japan after World War II. Learning Target D is I can describe the impact of communism in China in terms of Mao Zedong, the Great Leap Forward, the Cultural Revolution, and Tiananmen Square. And E is I can explain the reasons for foreign involvement in Korea and Vietnam in terms of containment of communism. So two very big things we're focusing on is rebuilding of Japan and communism in its various forms in Southern and Eastern Asia. Now, we have a checklist that we sent out at the end of last week for this week. This week, you'll have these 4 things to do. The first one is a comprehension check for rebuilding Japan. The second thing is video assignments that are in USA Test Prep. The third thing is building a slideshow for communism in China and containment of communism. And the last thing is on the 3rd, which is that Friday, you're going to have a history of Southern and Eastern Asia test. So basically all the history standards, India, nationalism, Japan, communism in China, and containment of communism will be on a test. Now, we want you to use your resources. We want you to do the best you can. So please take this opportunity to do well. Take this opportunity to take your time and do it when you feel you're ready. I'm going to show you exactly what each assignment looks like so you can understand exactly how to do it. So the first thing that we have right here is the PowerPoint for rebuilding Japan after World War II, and this is what it looks like. And you guys have seen these little comprehension checks before, where I basically ask you questions in order of the PowerPoint, and you're just going to answer them. Now, this first one says, what happened on December 7th, 1941? So you're going to go back to your Japan PowerPoint, and you're going to look for December 7th, 1941, this date. And some of you might already know that is fine, but still use your resources. So right here, it says on December 7th, 1941, Japanese airplanes made a surprise attack on the U.S. naval base at Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. So this right here would be the answer to your number 1 question, and you can just type that in right here. Everybody has an editable doc. If you do not, please contact Mr. Heggs, Mr. Kersey, or myself to make sure we can get you that document. Now, again, they'll go in order. So the next one about how did the U.S. react to the Japanese bombing at Pearl Harbor? I mean, that's not a hard question. How would you react? How would anyone react? But you can still find it in this PowerPoint. So that is all you're doing with rebuilding Japan. It is a 15-question assignment, and again, the PowerPoint goes in order. The next thing that we have for you is the USA Test Preps. So if you look right here, you did this assignment right here, the SS7, H3A and B last week. You did the partition of India last week. So now we have this SS7, H3D and SS7, H3E. These two are videos, so it's not very complicated, but you can just watch the video and answer those, I think, 4 or 5 questions depending on the video. Once you're done with those two, you are done with the first 2 assignments, and you can check these off your list. So this one would be done, and this one would be done. Once you have finished those, the next thing you have is a slideshow for communism in China. Now this slideshow is you can take more than a few days. You can submit this on Friday, but make sure you submit this before you start your test, because this slideshow will really help you with the items on the test. So I'm going to show you what the slideshow looks like. Everybody has a slideshow that looks like this, where they can change the background, they can make it look nice. Make sure the backgrounds are appropriate. We're talking about communism and containment of communism, so you shouldn't have anything inappropriate as your background for the slideshow. Make sure it's very basic. Keep it, you can make it colorful, but keep it appropriate to the standard. So we have this learning target here, SS7H3D, which is the impact of communism in China. So you have Mao Zedong here. Now this looks like a lot, but right here, all we want you to do is to put a picture. That is all that goes on this side of the PowerPoint. And over here, 2 to 3 sentences about Mao Zedong and his impact on China. We don't want it to be 100 sentences. We don't want all of this information, because we want to make sure you know the basics and the important facts, not everything. Okay? Then we have the Great Leap Forward. Again, a picture that is appropriate for the Great Leap Forward. 2 to 3 sentences. And yes, the sentences have to be in your own words, but make them the most important thing about the Great Leap Forward. You will have the same thing with the Cultural Revolution, Tiananmen Square. All of those have to do with the impact of communism on China. Then we go to SS7H3E. These are explaining the reasons for foreign involvement in Korea and Vietnam in terms of containment of communism. Now there's 2 things that we're really focusing on here, and that's the Korean War and the Vietnam War. All of these things, what we want you to do is you can even have little bullet points of what were the sides, what was the cause, what was the outcome. So who was fighting, why were they fighting, and what happened. So if you have any questions about this, you can obviously refer back to your PowerPoints, because each of you has a PowerPoint for communism in China. And these are the PowerPoints that we usually see in class. And then we have one for containment of communism for Korea and Vietnam. And again, it's the same ones that we see in class. If you have any questions, you can use the internet. And you can also ask your teacher, of course. We are here for you. We want to help. So those are the 3 things that we're going to really look at. We obviously have our test on Friday. That test will be on a Google form. So you will know your grade immediately after you take it. Another thing that we want to make sure you utilize is next week we are going into new content. Prior to us going on this distance learning adventure, we had talked about India and nationalism. But we haven't talked about rebuilding Japan, and we have not talked about communism in China and containment of communism. So we are going to be having Google Meets. This week your teacher will be doing Google Meets, and we really need you to be a part of these. This will be over the new topics being discussed in social studies. We're going to be offering them. Of course, we have lives each week, or Google Meets each week, but these are over new content. So we want to make sure that you utilize this time and you actually are a part of these meets, so we can make sure you understand the information, because there is a lot of very big ideas in these 3 learning targets for the standard. So please make sure you join. Each teacher will be posting their schedule before Monday. Please make sure you utilize those Google Meets. If you can't be a part of your own teachers, you can ask to join another teacher's Google Meets. It does not matter. We are here to help you. We miss you guys. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. We hope you're doing well and you're staying healthy. Have a wonderful week, and we hope to be in contact with you throughout it.